Good evening, everybody. Tonight I'm going to be talking about two different events. First, I'm going to talk about the PFL event, and I'm going to be talking about UFC 314. I'm going to do PFL first, just because it's starting in like 2 hours. I'm just going to keep it real light for PFL. It's very unpredictable what they're going to do, and there was so many changes to this PFL card that it's it made it really hard to make wagers on it anyways. Um, they had their they had their top favorite female fighter um, opt out for some reason. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. They don't hardly ever tell you. So, and then there was a couple of male fights that you know burnt out. So I'm just gonna do one parlay and then one finish, and that's it. So my PFL plays are going to be right here, and it's going to be two female fights. Actually, all three female fights that I'm using on this. Actually, Laura Dana over 2.5 rounds against Evazagova, whatever her name is, and then Velasquez versus Shakalova over 2.5 rounds, and then Liz Carmouche on the money line. I really wanted plus money. That's why I added Liz Carmouche, and that made it a plus 104. If you take Liz Carmouche out of there, it's still like a minus 116 or something like that. So if you don't want the minus 1,000 in there, I don't blame you. And you can take it out and just not have plus money. And then my second play is going to be Liz Carmouche by submission plus 215. This is on Bet Rivers. This is only a plus 175 on DraftKings. So if you have Bet Rivers available, that's where I would recommend playing it. I'm only going to go a half a unit on this because they're all three methods are in play. She could just ragdoll her for 3 rounds, or she could get a quick finish. I mean, she even could get a knockout, but I'm going with submission on this at a plus 215. And those are my two PFL plays for tonight. I'm going to try and give at least one of those out since PFL is going to be going on for a little bit now with their tournament going on. So now I'm going to just go right into UFC 314. I'm just going to wing it tonight. I've got some of my notes written down, but not all of them. But I think I pretty much know what I'm going to be doing. Um, so the first fight of the night is Nora Cornell versus Haley Cowan. Haley Cowan's not even a UFC caliber fighter. So basically, I've got a couple different plays with Nora Cornell, but the one that I'm going to give out on this podcast is actually going to be Nora Cornell on the money line, Chase Hooper on the money line, and Chase Hooper over a half a round. It's a minus 105. You would have to do this on DraftKings. If you don't have DraftKings, then I would do Cornell on the money line and then Hooper with the double method of decision/submission, and it would be like a minus 120. I don't think Haley Cohen is UFC caliber. I think Cornell is going to be better everywhere. So I'm pretty confident on her as a play for tomorrow night in the UFC. My second play is going to be I'm gonna break down a couple different plays first um, before I pull them up. Um, Now the second fight of the night, I don't have a play on it, but I want to touch base on it, and that is Marco Tulio versus Treson Gore. I really like Marco Tulio to get the win here. He's a minus 380 favorite for a reason. He's going to be better everywhere. Gore is he's just a strong dude, where Tulio is very well rounded and he's going to be a technical striker and he's going to keep the feet standing and more than likely get a knockout, but it's a good parlay piece. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. And then the next fight that I've got on my podcast is Julian Erosa over 49.5 significant strikes. This right here is he's a high volume striker, very high volume striker. He's a minus 380 favorite. Elkins is more than likely going to try and grapple. I don't think he's going to have a lot of success. I think Juliana Rosa gets his significant strikes. Could be within a couple minutes into the second round. I mean, he could very well get him by the end of the first round. I played that on Bet Rivers. Everywhere else, it's 57.5. And I'll pull these plays up because I've got 3 of them grouped together. Then my next play is I'm going to touch base on the Chase Hooper fight first because we are using him as a parlay piece. That's the next fight on the card. And it's Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. They're both kind of grapplers, but Chase Hooper's just going to be a little bit better everywhere. On the feet, Jim Miller's definitely got more power, but I think Chase Hooper's striking has improved immensely, and he's going to take it to the ground. He's just going to be better on the ground, and so I'm using him as a parlay piece on over a half a round and money line, and I'm also using him as a parlay piece on winning by decision or submission. And then one of my favorite fights of the night is our next fight. We've got Verna Jandiroba versus Yan Zhang. Yan Zhang did go for the belt against Wiley Zhang, and Wiley Zhang took her down 6 times. Verna Jandiroba is a high-pressure wrestler. Not only is she a high-pressure wrestler, when she gets you down, she's going to advance her position so well that you're not going to get back up. She's going to definitely be looking for position over submission while still trying to advance her position to get that submission. So I like her a lot. She's one of my favorite plays on the card. She's a minus 142. I'm playing her a couple different ways. I've got her minus 142 on the money line. Then I've got her over a half a round on the money line and 1 takedown on DraftKings in a same game parlay. This is a plus 100. And I'm going to pull up a couple of the plays right here that I'm talking about. And then our next play that's on this little ticker here is going to be Gene Silva by knockout plus 115. So I like him a lot in this. I know there's a lot of movement on Bryce Mitchell. I think Bryce Mitchell will have his moments in this fight, but Gene Silva is just so calculated, so patient, and has so much power. Like, he can knock Bryce Mitchell out with his left-handed jab. And I see a little combo coming of a left jab, right hook, knockout. And I've also put a sprinkle on second round knockout at a plus 550. And once again, I will pull all these up at the end. And then I think, I got one more single. And my last single is on Michael Chandler on the money line over Paddy Pimblett. This has been the most debated matchup, at least in my circle. It's probably 50-50, or probably 60% are on Paddy at least. I just think there's levels to this game. I think Michael Chandler is going to be able to keep this fight standing as long as he wants to, and he's going to be better on the feet. He's going to have more power, and he can grapple too, but he just can't. The only thing he cannot do is get stupid, which he has a tendency to do. So I've got Michael Chandler at plus 136. I think there's still a plus 130 floating around. I really love the over in this fight. The only problem with that is the over 1.5 has gone from a minus 165 all the way up to a minus 230. So, because I've got a couple tickets of minus one or over 1.5, and I've got it over 1.5 with the PFL fight tonight of Liz Carmouche, and it brought it down to like a minus 120. I've got like a unit and a half on that. But the one thing that you could do, I was going to play start the third round, but even that's a minus 150 now. You can get over 2.5 rounds on Bet Rivers at a plus 105 still. I mean, I kind of like that. I wouldn't go heavy on it, but I do kind of still like that. And then this here is my parlay that I'm playing, and that is Michael Chandler to start round 2, Lopez versus Volkanovski over 1.5, and the Woodson versus Dan Ige fight over 2.5 rounds. I got this at a plus 110. It is currently at a minus 105. So, as you can see, we've lost some value on it, but I still like it. I've already touched base on the Chandler fight, kind of. I just think it's going to be a slower start. Oh, and by the way, in case you don't know, the Chandler fight is a 5-round fight. And then Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. I lean Sean Woodson to get the win by decision. But both of these fighters, I think they've got 27 combined UFC fights, and they've only been finished one time. So I like this fight to go to distance. And then the Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. I'm on Diego Lopez. I'm dog money. I did not put it on this podcast as a play, but I am on him at dog money at a plus 120. But the way that I played him was over 1.5 rounds and on the money line at a plus 185. But I took him over 1.5 rounds, and that's a minus 500 right now. So, and I did that on purpose so that if it comes down to the last leg, I can hedge, because I've got right around 2 units on this parlay so far. So, and this parlay has moved too, like I said. And that's those plays there. And then I've got one other parlay that I put together, and I want to pull that up here real quick. And that is Chase Hooper by decision/submission, Silva by KO/decision minus 103. That was on FanDuel. If you can't do the multiple methods, then I would just do Silva on the money line, and then I would probably still keep Hooper in there, even though the money line's gross, and then add on Tulio, and that should bring you close to even money also. I just want to make sure I got everything here. I thought I had my singles on a sheet, but I don't. I'll just pull them up one more time. And I'll go over them. I've got Jandiroba on the money line minus 142. And I also played her in the same game parlay like I said, over a half a round and with one takedown on DraftKings to bring it to even money. I've got Julian Erosa, significant strikes over 49.5, and Gene Silva KO plus 115. Those are three of my singles, and then my next single is the Michael Chandler plus 136. And then here is the two-piece parlay that I played. Cornell on the money line, and then Hooper money line and over a half a round. And then I've got this parlay here. Sorry, that's my little one. Chandler starts second round, Lopez over 1.5 rounds, and Dan Ige over 2.5 rounds, plus 110. And then one more time on the PFL play, Dana over 2.5, Velasquez over 2.5, Carmouche money line plus 104, and then we finally have Liz Carmouche by submission plus 215. I didn't use the final fight as a piece, but I do have a little bit on Lopez. It's more of a 50-50 fight in my opinion. It could go either way. Another way to look at it is Lopez by KO or Volkanovski by decision if you like Volkanovski at all. And then that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions, you can shoot me up. And I hope everyone catches some tickets.